So my name is Michael Penn, and we are at the Gladstone Instututes. I am Vice President for Scientific Communications and Outreach, and I also serve as Chief Executive Officer of our foundation.
The University of California, San Francisco is renowned for training world-class scientists, but its alumni move into sectors and fields that are far more diverse than academic research, fields that are crucial to advancing health worldwide. New UCSF initiatives seek to highlight the breadth of careers that PhDs move into and to better prepare students and postdocs for the opportunities available to them. Michael Penn is on a journey. Following his curiosity, he graduated from the UCSF Biomedical Sciences program in 1998, completed his MD in 2003, and is still learning. Michael has made numerous discoveries that have benefited many, but his calling pulls him onward to help others begin journeys of their own, perhaps even yours.
So my entree into science probably happened around the 7th or 8th grade. And I tell students all the time, because I advise a lot of students, that it wasn't some epiphany moment. It wasn't a great discovery in terms of my being a scientist. What I found is it was the path of least resistance. It was the subject in school that required the least amount of effort for me to study. So I was a good student. So I learned how I learned best. And so that enabled me to do well. But it wasn't until graduate school where I had the freedom to study and explore what I wanted to explore that it kind of completely opened up for me. The best way I can describe my experience, at least, of science is that it's an opportunity to experience wonder and to discover and to create new knowledge. I remember several times during the course of my PhD training where I would get the results from a specific experiment, and I was the only one in the world who actually knew the results. And that's a magical experience. And so one of the things that I love to do is to communicate that. We're excited about the science that we do here at Gladstone, and so there's great value for us in communicating that enthusiasm to others for a variety of reasons. One is from a career development standpoint. We also believe that science is a fantastic career, right, and a great path to follow. But we also want to outreach to philanthropists. Research is expensive. Federal budgets aren't increasing to keep up with inflation, so we raise money from philanthropists. It's a sizable portion of our budget, and so we have a vested interest in communicating how amazing science is to the broader public. I started a nonprofit organization years ago called Building Diversity in Science, and one of the things that we believe strongly is that science is a platform to empower the individual. So irrespective of where you decide to go, science, the scientific process, has value. Science is an endeavor to get at the truth, right? To understand nature's secrets, how it reveals itself to us. And so I've realized or benefited tremendously in many different aspects of my life from that training, that rigor of, doing your research, understanding the literature, understanding what knowledge is already out there, synthesizing that in a way that is useful, and then coming up with new hypotheses that you test. I use this paradigm in my life, in my career. What I tell students a lot is, you're a scientist. Think about your life and your career path in much the same way. You do research, you gather some data, you make some hypotheses about what might be the right fit for you, where you might have the greatest impact, and you do the experiment.
Come on in.
The lab life, in many ways, it's a family.
Here, in between TJ's bench and my bench, is where we get the collaborations done.
Now, there's a broad spectrum of experience with family. And the major distinction is that you can actually choose your lab family. You can't choose your biological family. The experience that I had was with a postdoctoral fellow in the lab named Roberto Speck. But from the very beginning, he treated me as a peer. So he asked me the central question in the lab: Michael, how do you believe HIV causes disease? And he was serious. He wasn't joking. He wasn't being patronizing. He really wanted to hear what I had to say. So for me, I could not have imagined a better way to start my graduate career than a senior postdoctoral fellow in the lab asking me the central question and expecting me to answer it. Something drew me to something else, and I guess the way that I articulate that now is impact. So for me, I wanted to impact many thousands of people if possible. So what I chose to do is actually use my scientific and medical training and apply that in biotechnology. So after I finished at UCSF, I actually went to work at Genentech. So this was not an easy choice by any stretch of the imagination. I agonized over the decision, but again, it came back to this gut level feeling that I was meant to be elsewhere. The best way I can describe it is a calling, right? I was being called to something else, and I still think I'm being called to something else. So I had, roughly 9 or 10 years in the biotechnology industry, which was wonderful, but yet I was called back to Gladstone. So I'm on this process of personal discovery myself. What do you want to experience? How do you want to feel? I, for many years, focused too much on what I wanted to accomplish. I was very granular and specific. I got the PhD, and okay, yes, it was a great moment, but I was still thinking, okay, now what? So the accomplishment in and of itself, I've found in my life, has not been the ultimate pursuit. It's really the qualitative experience of what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. So how do you want to feel, and what's the impact that you want to make? What populations do you want to have do better? And I think coming from that place of being of service, thinking about the impact that you want to have, one, it's a far more fulfilling path to pursue, and the world will benefit, I think, much more significantly from your walking the earth.